It all works.
Great. So these questions that we ask are from real people all over the state of Michigan and in Ohio. And so we have Doug in New Boston who wrote into David's office, and
Yeah.
he asks, what if I have to sell my house first before I can close on a new property that I want to purchase? From Doug in New Boston. What would that scenario look like for him?
Well, in a purchase offer, you would make some contingencies that to protect people like Doug, so that they're not, without a home.
Right.
Let's say they don't sell their home, and then they're compelled to close, on the purchase of another home, but yet they don't have the equity from the former home to fund the transaction. So those are called contingencies. There's quite a few of them, both in commercial and residential or in vacant land purchases. Attorneys put in language that relates to contingencies. If you're using a real estate agent who is a commission salesperson, they have the ability also to write in contingencies into the contract. They can't write the contract, but they can fill in some areas of a form. They're allowed to do that. You just have to be careful and make sure that if you're not using, you have to have a very experienced realtor to put in that information the right way, because if you don't write it properly, you will get stuck. And you've heard me use the word legal vomit or legal puke, and I hope you're not watching this during breakfast, whoever's watching. But, I clean up after legal vomit every day, and there's nothing worse. There's great realtors out there. There's great real estate agents out there. There's great professionals in every area, okay? When you're dealing with the biggest asset of in your portfolio, which is usually your home, okay, you have got to use real professionals who have experience in selling or buying a home. Do not use, with all due respect to like newer agents, for sellers and buyers, don't rely on your cousin who just passed with their real estate license to help you with the transaction to make sure that it's, you're thinking that it's done right. If anything, get the broker involved to help your new cousin in the business, right? Or you get an attorney involved to help you writing these provisions, okay? So it's called a contingency provision.
And it goes the other way also if you are selling your house before, or I'm sorry, if you've purchased prior to the sale. So it goes in reverse too. So he's talking about, well, I have to sell before I can purchase, but there are some people who do the opposite. And so they will, so kind of like on the other side of that. So, so for example, so he says I have to sell my house first before I can close on a new property.
Right.
We were in a position once where we purchased before we sold, and so we had to, like we had like two houses at one time, so two houses at one time. So so there's different things like that too. You can find yourself in that scenario. But what then if they do close on that new property that they purchased, they're selling their house, the other person hasn't moved out yet. So what if there's like this domino effect of, okay, so I've purchased this property,
right?
I've sold my house, but the other person whom I've purchased it from, they're not moved out yet. Like, what does that scenario look like?
Well, it usually looks like seriously, everybody's hair's on fire if it's not coordinated properly.
Right.
And people will have meltdowns, and rightfully so, because there's a cartoon. Any seasoned realtor or real estate professional, entitled person or mortgage person has probably seen it. It's a bunch of real estate professionals getting in a very long rowboat. And everybody has to line up and has to balance in this boat all at the same time before they can pull the oars, okay, to get the transaction to close. What you're describing is not uncommon. And again, experienced realtors and attorneys and mortgage people will get together to try to coordinate that so you don't have a problem. But what happens when you have that problem? Okay. Most realtors and non-legal professionals will fail to write in the proper language that beats the hell out of the seller, pardon me, the seller in that transaction, so that if there's a whole, what we call a holdover, or if they remain in the property, there's an escrow that's been arranged and penalties that have been assessed to get those people out of the home. Okay. So they're the nicest people. I feel, I tell people my secrets when I'm telling you the secret, but I know it's out there. Sellers are the nicest people, buyers are the nicest people when everybody's engaging in the contract at the beginning. You've heard me say this all the time. What is the contract? It's what I'm going to do with, I'm doing something of value in exchange for you doing something of value. And everybody can't wait to get that value, okay? Whether it's money or the home, that's the exchange. That's what we call the consideration. Everybody's excited about that. That's actually 20% of your transaction. The other 80% of the provisions in those agreements deals with the legalities of what each party is going to do to the other in the event that one party defaults. And it's penalties and lawsuits. I mean, you name it, and commissions that are earned. It's a nightmare. So what you're saying with your scenario is, how do you prevent it? Well, you don't do it with a neophyte. You don't do it with a new realtor. You don't do it with your cousin who just got their license. You get an experienced realtor or an attorney to make sure that that seller has every incentive to move, even if their property is not completed. Let's say, that's that ripple effect. Maybe they were building a home and the builder is not ready. Tough luck. But you can't say the buyer and the seller, nobody can say to the seller, tough luck, if you don't have the right provisions in there. You have to be able to say, hey, get the hell out of my house. I just bought it. And these are the things I'm going to do to you now if you remain. And one of them is you owe me thousands and thousands of dollars if you're not out of the home. Before COVID, people used to have to do these type of provisions, especially when they were trying to get their kids into school at the end of the summer, right?
Yes.
Okay. We do it now, especially where people are building homes like crazy and they got to get into their home at a certain time and they got to have the money from the equity of the home that they're selling. So contingencies, writing the right contingencies, having waivers of contingencies, making sure you don't have too many addendums floating around that all of a sudden become inconsistent with each other because you have the wrong realtor who forgets what they wrote. That's a nightmare. So all these things have to be done and they got to be lined up properly. And, we're going down a rabbit hole and I really apologize, but so many times people say, I know.
My fault.
Okay, give me a purchase agreement. Hey, you got a purchase agreement, Blair, that I can use? How is that purchase agreement going to help you in another transaction? The thing is, it's not about the document itself. It's about who is writing that document that's suitable for your needs at the time that you're trying to do what's best for you and your family or your business, when you're purchasing this property. So contingency,
yes, because there's always something and not everything lines up perfectly.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you to Doug in New Boston. Good question.
We were still on Doug's question.
Applies to tons of people. Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Doug.